Hello everyone, I'm Brian and welcome back. Let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you for the answer.
Sadhguru, in one of your uploads on YouTube, you speak of an experience where you've consumed the cobra venom, and you describe this experience as something where one part of yourself felt like you were in a state of slumber, while the other part of you felt like you were in a higher level of brightness. So, how do you perceive the use of other natural intoxicants such as weed or bhang, which take you to the same level of higher consciousness, but the only difference lies in the means which are adopted in reaching that higher level of consciousness? So, why has the consumption of weed in India remained a stigmatized subject? And fortunately for us, we have a senior minister in the Narendra Modi cabinet, Mrs. Maneka Gandhi, who's come out in support of legalization of marijuana. So could you also tell us what your take is on whether or not marijuana should be decriminalized, given that there is enough evidence to suggest that there is medical benefits associated with the consumption of marijuana?
Medical.
It's so cool to see the issues are quite similar, and it's something going on in the States too. There are some states that has that as a legal substance for medical use. Some states just has it completely legal. Doesn't matter for medical or not. Some states have it only legal for medical reasons, and then some states just has it completely illegal. And that's the weird thing about well, I don't know about weird, but about the United States, that each state has, in a sense, more power than the federal government in terms of laws. But it's interesting to hear how another country does it. I don't know whether if it's legal, then it's legal throughout, or is it like each province or village or whatever has to make it legal, or is it completely throughout the entirety of the country? Let me know. So is it like in the states, it's generally speaking, for the most part, states have the power to make something legal or illegal. Sometimes the federal government does step in, but generally speaking, the states do their own business.
Benefits are for those who are sick, isn't it?
Oh God, is he gonna say everyone's sick?
We talk about medical benefits when people get sick, not when they're healthy, all right? So, I'm glad you've been doing some research about finding that cobra venom thing. We are not consuming cobra venom on a daily basis, we are consuming mercury on a daily basis sometimes. But that is not for intoxication, nor do we need cobra venom for intoxication. Just look at my eyes and see, they're always stoned.
The way he looked, man. The way he turned and looked at him.
Really,
Oh.
don't put your head down, just look at me and see. I'm always stoned. I never touched a substance. But is it true that this human mechanism is the most sophisticated chemical factory on the planet? Hello? So if you know how to manage this well, you can produce what you want in this. Anyway, there was an Israeli scientist, you might have heard about him because you've done so much research on this aspect. He was doing research on cannabis and its impact on the neurological system. So he started this research in the United States. Every year he was getting some 15 kilograms of cannabis. For almost 12–13 years he got this, and he produced no results. And in 1980s, when US drug agencies, the agencies which were working against the drug smuggling and stuff, they decided to not hit the suppliers but hit the market. So the street was burning with police action. At that time, the police and the agencies said, this guy is getting 13 kilograms per year. We have not seen any paper from him, it must stop. So they stopped. Then he moved to Israel and he showed what he has done, and they supplied marijuana for him as much as he wants. In about 4.5 years, he came up with this. He said, there are millions of cannabis receptors in our brain. But why? So he threw this information to all kinds of scientific disciplines to find out why. In human brain, there are millions of cannabis receptors. Well, naturally the anthropologist said maybe at some time the whole humanity was smoking but that's not possible because many parts of the world it doesn't exist. But even there, they have. After many things, many funny things happened around the world in this context, then the neurologist came up with this and said, the brain is expecting that you will produce cannabis within the system. It's not expecting you to smoke. It's expecting you produce that so that it becomes a mood equalizer for you all the time. But most human beings have become inefficient chemical factories or they're just lousy CEOs managing a great factory. So they start smoking from outside. It's not a moral issue. It's not a moral issue for me. But the thing is, there is substantial studies which are being put down by those few activists who want to promote it. There is substantial studies to show that your decision-making, your certain dimensions of your brain, particularly about decision-making, are sufficiently suppressed. If you smoke marijuana for 30 days, this will last for 4 to 5 years. Your decision-making is clearly affected. With that kind of mind, with that kind of a brain, if you enter the court and I'm putting my life in your hands, I don't want a cannabis-smoking lawyer for me. I don't want a cannabis-smoking surgeon to work upon me. If he's just smoking on the street corner, not doing anything to anybody, it's his problem. But definitely I don't want my surgeon to be on marijuana and do surgery on me. Yes or no?
That's kind of a problem though, because I mean, I get what he's saying. I don't know if what his studies is true or not. I've not heard anything about it. I've heard that, you know, it does calm you down, but I don't know the long-term effects, so I've not heard anything about that. But it's kind of weird then if you have that kind of restriction, if you make that kind of law. It's like, oh, if you're a lawyer, doctor, whatever, you can't do this drug. Everyone else, you're okay. Then you kind of split up the population. It's like, man, I don't want to be a doctor then. Or, I mean, of course, not everyone's going to want to smoke, probably. I don't know. It is an addictive drug, I do believe. But you kind of split this where it's like you kind of make people not want to do certain things because there's a restriction on that particular job. So you may even start finding, and obviously like a construction worker, you don't want someone who's been in some kind of intoxication, whether it be alcoholic beverage or any type of substance it may be. Even certain drugs actually that you take, like cough medicine or something like this, like don't operate heavy machinery after drinking this or whatever. But generally they don't have a long-term effect. But again, I don't know, I've not heard anything about the long-term effects of cannabis, but it's pretty interesting. And it kind of sucks though, you know, if there is this thing where you say, okay, if you're a doctor, this, or this, you cannot take it. That could be a problem with the law. And I do wonder if that has to be the case, or what would be the solution.
Do you want? Nor do I want other drivers, because I drive at a certain speed, I don't want other drivers who are smoked out driving with me. I don't want.
Especially if you're on a motorcycle.
Nor do I want my driver ever, if at all if I sit in the back seat, to have smoked and then driving. If you want that, you choose, but we don't want that. Most people don't want that because they know what it'll lead to. So what we are looking at recreation, we have made it this way. What this means is essentially, today, 70% of the American population is on prescription medication, rest of the world is trying to catch up. Yes, rest of the world is trying to catch up. People are starting medicines very early on their life.
That is terrible, but it feels like it's the truth. Although there's been some doctors trying to push back against medicine to do holistic medicine. I mean, people in America, just people want quick solutions is the problem. So if it's not solved in 30 minutes, they want a pill for it.
The remaining 30% of course are going on things that you're talking about. Why just stop with cannabis? Why don't we do some cocaine? Because it really fires us up, you know?
I wonder what he'll say to, I'm sorry, but Alcohol though, it does the same thing. Obviously, you have to consume quite a lot of it to have a very severe effect. Although the effect will only last maybe 24 hours, all depending on your body and what you've eaten. So in other things that inhibits your capabilities of driving, like even cough medicine, for example, maybe 8 hours for that one. I'm not sure, but just curious as to his answers to that, because these things do kind of a similar thing, but the time period of their effectiveness is very short.
It's okay, man. It's all right with me. I told you it's not a moral issue for me. It's a question of whether it'll enhance your life or suppress your life. Whether it'll allow you to live your life full on, or will it make you a smaller life than the way you are, or what you're capable of. Nothing less than what you can do must happen in this life, isn't it? For whatever reason. Either because of your attitudes, or your stress, or your drug, or for whatever reason, you should not become a human being less than what you could be. You must maximize this life, because all you have in this life is how intense and profound is your experience of life, that's all there is. And half the time if you're dazed out, you will miss that possibility. But if you come to me, I can teach you a way. Simply you can sit here and be stoned out. No. Really. Not just me, I do this to any number of people, thousands of people, they just sit there and boom. Every day in the morning I can show you millions of people who close their eyes, tears of ecstasy dripping, because there is a way. There is a way to activate this system, because there's no more complex chemistry on the planet than this one. Yes or no? Do you agree with me? When everything is here, it's best to learn to use this. If you invest some time early on in your life, very effortlessly you can get here. Instead of that, if you take external inputs, we know all the negative impacts of that.
So, sir, when someone has wronged us or has abused us in some way, we either have feelings of hostility and resentment.
Oh, we must file a suit.
No, in a
I was wondering why I heard this before. I reacted to this video another time. Oh, geez.
in a minor sense, if they abuse us or if they wrong us, we sometimes have feelings of resentment and hostility against them, and sometimes we might tend to forgive them and let it go. So my question here is, where must we draw a line to hold the wrongdoer responsible for what he does, and when should we know to forgive him, and when should we know to let it go? So this is the question.
See, this is not about the other person. The choice for you is this. If you are given a choice, right now, for all of you, if you are given a choice that you can either live joyfully, blissfully, or miserably, or in anger, or in stress, or in resentment, what is your natural choice? You must choose, I'm going to bless you right now. What is your natural choice? Joyfully, isn't it? Because every human being is looking for highest level of pleasantness for himself or herself. You can call it joy, you can call it bliss, these are just words. Essentially, we want highest level of pleasantness for ourselves. If your body becomes pleasant, we call this health. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this pleasure. If your mind becomes pleasant, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this joy. If your emotions become pleasant, we call this love. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it compassion. If your very life energies become pleasant, we call this bliss. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. If your surroundings become pleasant, we call this success. Only to make your surroundings pleasant, you need the cooperation of all these people. Because in creating an external situation, there are many forces involved. Not all of them you even know. You understand? You want to create a wonderful situation for yourself, you don't even know how many forces are working in that area. If you harness a few forces, if they cooperate, things will happen. If they don't cooperate, it won't happen. But for the pleasantness of the body, pleasantness of the mind, pleasantness of your emotion and energy, it's 100% you. Yes or no? Is that yes or no? No, because in some cultures this is yes, in some cultures this is, you know. Yes, right?
Yes.
Surroundings, creating situations in the surroundings, you need cooperation from the people, otherwise it won't happen. So only for success, you need cooperation. To keep yourself pleasant, it's 100% yours. So right now, you know well that you want to be peaceful, but somebody else is doing something. What are they doing? They know what they know best. They're abusing you. Why are they doing it? Because that's all they know. Yes or no? That is how they know their life. That's why they're doing it. If you become resentful and you think something will happen to them, see, these are things. Anger, resentment, hatred, these are all poisons that you drink and you expect somebody else to die. No, life doesn't work like that. You drink poison, you die. It's a very fair life. If you drink poison, you die. Very fair, isn't it so? I drink poison and you die, is it fair? So, people who are in anger, resentment, hatred, this is their thing. They are drinking poison. When I say poison, I am not saying in a moral sense. There is substantial medical evidence right now that we can show you with a blood test that 5 minutes before you take your blood test right now, 5 minutes you may remain in extreme anger and take your blood test, you will see you're chemically poisoned actually. So you're literally poisoning yourself, thinking it's going to hurt them. No, it's only going to hurt you. So it doesn't make sense to me, that's all. It's not a morality, whether you should get angry or not get angry. It's up to you if you want to make a mess out of yourself.
So this is a question we were sent, and
Sorry. Yeah, and that's another thing too, is that it's something I probably didn't say in the other ones, the fact that about your surrounding. Obviously you can't control people, but you can control inanimate objects. I try to make my house very pleasant by making things so easy and so, how do I say, like, organized. Because that's something, it's nice to know that, oh, I need this. I know where it's at. Let me go grab it, bring it back, and use it. Now imagine it's like, oh, I need this. Let me spend an hour looking for it. Now, unless you like looking for stuff, like, you know, word finds or, like, you know, searching things on, like, books, and then you want to do that in real life, you know, that's your thing. But for me, I like to know where everything's at. Even if something was lost or misplaced, it's not that big of a deal necessarily, because it's ever so often. But if it's all the time, it gets frustrating, because now your day, whatever you want to do, takes a lot longer because you're having to search for it. So that's another way of making your external life pleasant, although overall you still control over your pleasantness inside. You can't control other people, but you can control what you have control over in your surrounding, which is usually your place of residence, your car, for the most part, unless you take it outside and someone bumps it or whatever.
the context of this question, as I understand, is that previously our understanding of gurus or mystics were individuals who meditated and were in penance in forests, who were not attached who were not attached or concerned with businesses. So a question we were sent is that now we see a lot of mystic individuals who have huge foundations, who have companies, some of whom who have gone into production of foods and soaps. So the question here is that, is this…
Toothpaste.
Toothpaste too? So the question here is that, is this a healthy trend that you have individuals who you otherwise identified as individuals devoid of material pleasures or away from material pleasures or away from businesses are now actually turning to them?
I can't blame anyone for trying to make business. It all depends on the cost of the product. Because again, a quick example is the fact if Sadhguru makes soap that's cheaper than all the other companies, making it more affordable for people who cannot afford soap or who has to budget their money. That's a good thing. But that also hurts the business, though, considering that now they're not selling anything too. But I can't blame people trying to make money, because you need money to live. However, it all depends on how they're marketing this thing. If like they put a soap out there, it's like, oh, this soap is blessed, and it costs 500. It costs 10 times the amount of even a good soap or a cheap soap or a high quality soap, like 10 times the cost. and they're doing it to milk the money out of their name and their brand. I think that's a bit crummy.
Well, you have not yet managed a business. Managing a business is definitely not a pleasure. But I know who is in the focus right now.
Who?
See, I was… I had some kind of a conference in Chennai and somebody came to pick me up and the driver was driving. He's a regular driver. He goes behind what is in front of him and it's getting late. I have a reputation to keep that in these 37 years I have not been late to a single event in my life. Though in one day I may have 3, 4, 5 events, still I have not been late to one. So I want to get there, this guy is going at his own pace in the traffic. So I said, you get out. And I took the wheel and I did some forced driving. That was in Tamil Nadu, the Andhra Pradesh police cannot do anything about it. So I did some forced driving and just made it in time. The security gate at the hotel, these days they're stopping you, opening your bonnet, checking your engine and your boot, but nobody knows what they're looking for. After that Mumbai event, unfortunately, everybody has to go through this. So the car in front of me went and the gate opened, I just went through and they were screaming. I came into the portico, stopped, left the car there and ran into the conference. There was some journalist standing there. After I finished the thing and I came back, they said, in ancient times, yogis used to walk. You drive your own car, what kind of a yogi are you? Then I said, you idiot, in ancient times everybody was walking, not just the yogis.
So mystics keep with the times.
Huh?
So mystics keep with the times.
Oh, they were always contemporary. The problem is most people's idea of a mystic is the Civic calendar, where one man is sitting under the tree with a constipated look on his face. That is a calendar art, that is not a mysticism, all right? The mystics of the day…
Constipated
well,
look.
look at anybody. If you call Krishna a mystic, he was working with the kings all the time because he wanted to transform the political system. If you see Gautam Buddha, always working with the kings because he wants to transform the political system. Without transforming the political system, people will not benefit. So always, the gurus were always around the kings, not because of their palaces, because of their concern, unless the one who rules transforms himself, there will be no benefit for the people. Right from ages, you go back wherever you want, always they were around the kings, not looking for crumbs in the palace, but simply because unless you transform that one fool, the country will not change.
So it's been indicated to us that, there's a lack of time, so what we could do is that I have a question on section 377 and Angad has a question on something else. If I'm not wrong, 377 will be taken up by somebody in the audience, so I'll let that go. Or if it's… does anybody in the audience have that question? Then I'll let it go. Does nobody have a question on that? Fine. So, when somebody asked you for your views on section 377, you talked about how we should not be entering into people's bedrooms, how they should be given the privacy, how we should not be criminalizing this. That being said, there was a statement after that which me and a lot of NALSARites didn't understand as to what was the context or the basis of that statement, is that it should not be promoted. What is this, it should not be promoted?
See, right now…
Okay, I'm a little confused. I thought 377 is like his paperwork. It's like, oh, question 377, and this is the question. But apparently, there's actually a law on that. So I didn't quite understand. Hopefully, Sadhguru will clarify that for me.
There are people, large majority of the people are heterosexual. You don't have to promote it. Anyway, they will do what they have to do. Similarly, if there is homosexuality among a certain segment of people, no need to promote, they will do what they have to do. And what a heterosexual person is doing in the bedroom, does anybody inquire what is he doing? They should not inquire, it's not civilization, I'm saying. Similarly, no matter what the hell you're doing in your privacy, we will not even inquire, I'm saying, because we're not interested. What you're doing with your body is not my interest as long as you're not harming yourself.
Or anyone
If
else.
you're damaging your system, then maybe we have to intervene. Otherwise, what's my business what you're doing with your body?
The
Okay. To answer, so as far as I'm getting is, I still didn't quite understand or the bedroom thing. That your private home is your private home. It's private. No one has a right to enter in your private home without your consent or without a right. I mean, sometimes police officers will have, like, police officers cannot get in, at least in America, police officers can't get into your house unless you invite them willingly. Now, if they go in there illegally, they can be reprimanded and you can get compensated for that. But police officers can also enter in your house under warrant, and to get a warrant, from what I hear, is very difficult because there has to be a very legitimate reason for you to enter in someone else's property without their permission. And I hear, like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, there are going to be a-holes everywhere, and there's probably going to be some a-hole judge that will provide warrants freely. But for the most part, I do believe them to be very difficult to get. You have to provide evidence saying this, and this, and then the judge was like, we'll still think about it. So warrants are difficult to obtain. You generally have privacy in your own home, as long as you keep your windows closed. I mean, if they can see inside your house through your window when they're out in the public street, then that's your own fault.
question I have on that is that, yes, I mean, as far as heterosexuals are concerned, they are a large majority. When it comes to homosexuals, there exist social prejudices which prevent them from coming out and acknowledging what their sexuality is. In that context.
That was because there was a certain law. You must understand, this law was made by the British. The British made this law because the English soldiers that they brought from England to manage this large nation, they did not come with their wives and girlfriends. They came all men, so homosexuality was all pervasive among them because they had no options. So because of that, they brought this law which is actually said as buggery law, okay? So that was made in a certain context. So now the Supreme Court, the highest court in the country, has removed it, it's finished. What is the debate continuing about?
But I mean, I might be wrong as to what the opinion of a large portion of the population is. But I don't think I'll be wrong in saying that there do still exist significant prejudices against homosexuals, and in that context, should we not be allowed?
That is what I'm saying. Why should you tell me that you are a heterosexual or homosexual? Why should you tell me? Huh? Your partner knows what you are, and that's all that matters. Why should I know? But you want to tell me, and I must have the right kind of emotion towards you. Why are you expecting this from people?
Sadhguru, the point I'm arriving at is that I might not be able to acknowledge my own I mean, I will not be able to acknowledge it to myself, leave alone to anybody else, unless and until this social prejudice and until homosexuality comes out in the open. Just to give an example, once a lot of celebrities came out that yes, we are homosexual, other individuals who were also homosexuals but were scared of identifying themselves as such also accepted their sexuality. So in that context, could promotion probably make sense?
We are making a mistake. Sexual preference is not sexuality. They're two different things, all right? Sexual preference is a different thing. You're making it like it's a kind of a new species. It is not, I'm saying. They're all human species, different people have different choices, it's up to them. There is no need for you to go about making some kind of a campaign about it. It's not necessary because you will inevitably get the hit from others who don't see it that way. Where is it needed, I'm asking? It's a personal choice.
Yes, I might get the hate, but I also might I also might be able to allow other people who are suppressed in their understanding of what their sexuality is come out in the open and acknowledge what their sexuality is. It might help them.
See, the thing is, what you're demanding is that everybody should acknowledge whatever you do. People may not acknowledge. What's your business? It's legal. Leave it, no. You're not going to prison for it. That's about it. Just leave it. I don't like it, so what does it matter to you? Somebody doesn't like it, what does it matter to you? It should not matter, that's all I'm saying. It's within the framework of law, just leave it.
So, Sadhguru, there's one last question in this.
I'm slightly lost a little bit. I kind of get it a little bit as well. So again, my stance has always been, so long as you're not forcing anyone, you can do whatever you want. Not harming anyone as well, not forcing your point of views on anyone as well. So I guess it's something very similar that's going on in the States. I mean, it's getting a little crazy, but it's whatever. Again, they're not causing harm to anyone, so no big deal, honestly. I think it's the fact that everyone wants to. I think they want to be acknowledged in such a way that everyone acknowledges them, and whenever no one acknowledges them, it becomes a big deal. It's like, oh, why aren't you acknowledging this? At least over here. And from what I'm getting over there is that is again kind of similar over here, where there's people out here who are still in the closet, and they're afraid to come out. But the thing is, though, is that, how do I say this? I had a friend that came out, actually. I didn't know he was, and honestly, I didn't care. I mean, he's my friend, so as long as he's happy, he's fine, and he's taking care of himself, I'm all good. I don't care who he dates. He can date whatever he want, whoever he wants, and if he has a problem, wants to talk to me about it, I'll talk to him about it. But other than that, man, we're friends. We do stuff together, and it's just freaking fine. But I don't know. I mean, there are still people out there who are extremists who, if they find out you're gay or I guess your sexuality or your sexual preference, your race or your religion, and they'll persecute you, whether you be religious or not. And that's a terrible thing. Again, you're causing harm to someone. Again, if they want to be whatever, then so be it. So long as they're not harming anyone else, and so long as they're okay with themselves, because they're not harming themselves, then it's fine. I don't care. I mean, hopefully people don't care so much. Like, oh, are you straight or are you gay? It's like, well, I don't. What does it matter? Honestly, I'm not affecting you, or what I like to eat or whatever. I'm not affecting you by it. It's like, you be you. As long as you're happy, you're not harming anyone else, you're good.
Segment, or would you like to move to the next segment? We have one social media
Whatever,
question.
sir. You're the boss, sir. Whatever you say.
Yeah, take charge,
We got
man.
the one last question. The theme is coexistence and fear. So clearly you have this strong affinity for the species of snakes. Now, fun fact, and you've also gone on to say that
I have a strong affinity for all species.
But
People take pictures only when I pick up a snake. When I pick up a grasshopper, nobody does it.
Okay.
you've gone on to say that there's no such creature which is as perceptive as the snake. So, fun fact, Shamanpet is a snake-infested area. We have loads of snakes around campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, in NALSAR. So
It's not snake infested. This was their homeland,
Exactly.
and you have invaded.
exactly.
That's something everybody agrees
That's something
on.
everybody acknowledges. We have come to their homeland. So this is where my question is going. Is there any specific reason why we are so fearful of these species when they themselves are equally fearful of us? So how do we train our mind to overcome this paranoia? And the larger question is, how do we ensure a mutually sustainable habitat where we do not disturb the balance between the human-animal interaction?
Well, I mean, because it's ignorance. Honestly, it goes back to Swami Sarvapriyananda, the sure fact that we don't know whether the snake is venomous or not. And obviously, if you get bitten, then you have to go treatment, or you have to get anti-venom, or whatever it may be. If all snakes were, say, non-venomous, then, I mean, look, we're not sitting running away from birds. We're not running away from cats and dogs, because we don't, even though they can bite, it's generally speaking, they do carry bacteria in their saliva and stuff, but it's not quite like a venom. So if the snakes weren't venomous, or whatever animal it is, if we don't know what it is, we tend to fear it. Again, ignorance. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It does go back to our survival instincts, which what Sadhguru talks about. It's the sheer fact that if we don't know, we fear it because we don't know if it can kill us or not. That's the biggest thing. Ignorance.
See, there are many questions inside. I don't know what's the level of interest in snakes, accordingly I will go. Hello? I've been involved with snakes from a very early age. When I say early, I caught my first snake probably when I was 5.5 years of age. What is significant about this is, snake is one creature. If you do not know this, it's stone deaf, you know this? All snakes are stone deaf, they don't have hearing mechanism at all. So, it literally has ear to the ground, its entire body is to the ground feeling reverberations. To what extent means, let's say there is going to be an earthquake somewhere in Central Asia. If you just observe a cobra today, let's say in the next 3 days there's going to be something happening. If you observe a cobra, how he behaves, you know there's going to be an earthquake. If you study it sufficiently, you can even indicate the direction in which it's going to happen and an approximate distance. Whether it's going to happen 100 kilometers away, 1,000 kilometers away or 3,000 kilometers away, you can make an approximate guess, like meteorological science, you can observe. Because he's got his entire body to the ground, even the smallest reverb that he feels, he behaves differently. So in that context, he is very perceptive. And he is also chemically very perceptive. The only way he knows you is by your chemistry. He doesn't see you very well, but he knows your chemistry very well. See, if you go… don't try this by yourself, huh? Because you're on pot. You may not be quick enough for them. If you just go and pick up a cobra simply like this, not by his head or something, just in the middle, hold him, just pick him up, he will simply come without any resistance. If there is no any anxiety or anything within you, you show little bit of anxiety, he will go for you because he sees it as danger immediately. So I was telling people, people were saying, how do we know Sadhguru, we are really meditative and at ease? I said, we must do a cobra test for you. If you just pick it up, if he just comes, you're at ease. If he reacts, that means you're not at ease.
Too late
I
then.
don't know, one picture came for a moment in that video where I'm holding a king cobra. You saw that one? A king cobra, I think no, not in this, it didn't come. I think a king cobra was on the ground. There's another picture where I'm holding a king cobra halfway down and he's just like that. A king cobra is a snake that if it bites you, it'll just hardly give you 20 to 40 minutes, you'll die within that. A regular cobra, it bites you, because you say they have snakes, I'm giving you some knowledge. It mainly, the cobra venom affects your cardiovascular system, it gives you anywhere between 4 to 6 hours. If you don't get excited, you may get another 1 or 2 hours extra. If it bites you in the body, you will have 4 to 5 hours. If it bites you in the limb, you may get 6 to 8 hours time. But if a viper bites you, you have much less time. If a banded carrot bites you, you have just 1.5 to 2 hours. Because one venom attack affects your neurological system, another venom affects your cardiovascular system. What it is doing to you is your blood gets thicker, so you can't breathe. And everything gets tough because the heart will start pumping in a certain way because the blood gets thicker and thicker, coagulation happens across the body. Why I'm saying this to you is, the nature of the venom gives him that. Venom is not only in his sac, he's producing it in his entire body. Today, there's so much research gone into the medical sciences, you will see in the next 5 to 10 years' time, almost all neurological ailments will be treated with cobra venom, snake venom and scorpion venom and spider venom. And some sea snakes which have very special kind of venoms, which could kill you in 5–10 minutes.
They were actually talking about, what the heck is that kind? It's like a type of crab. Is that like a blue shell crab or something like that? Or blue shell crab? Horseshoe crab, I think that's what it's called. That has like a special type of blood that's very vital and important for medical science too. It's pretty interesting.
So, a lot of research has gone in. Almost for every neurological problem that people are going through, like Parkinson's and memory losses, all this they are going to treat with venom. Still it has not been approved, but much research has gone in this direction. So it knows your chemistry so well. The beautiful thing about this is, there was a time When I'm sitting in some jungles in the Western Ghats, you guys are on the east, but you must come to the Western Ghats, that's a real jungle, okay? It's a rainforest. If I'm sitting and meditating, normally I don't know why, now I'm wondering why I sat in the afternoons, but I always sat in the afternoons, not early mornings. Afternoon I sit for meditation and I'm like sitting for 5–6 hours. When I open my eyes, a dozen snakes are sitting here. They're just drawn to that chemistry. When your chemistry changes, they just know and it comes. This is why Adiyogi is shown with a cobra on his, around his neck to indicate that he is meditative, he's still within himself. If you become still within yourself, you pick up the cobra, simply it'll come like that. When I lived in the jungles by myself, no food arrangement, nothing, I mainly survived by drinking honey. Huge beehives are built at a place where the bears can't get. They calculate, the bees have such intelligence, they calculate a normal sloth bear weighs how much? Approximately about 60 to 70 kilograms. They build it on a branch where if the bear comes, even if the branch doesn't break, the branch will be sufficiently disturbed for them to go and take care of him. So it is up there and I slowly crawl up. My motorcycle petrol tube, I always keep it extra long, about 18 inches. And I go with this tube, stick the tube and drink honey. 3¼ liters to 1 liter honey, if I drink for 1 or 2 days, I'm fully fired up with food, enough calorie in my system. But when I'm drinking this honey, the bees think I'm one more big bee. They don't see me. They are looking at the chemistry. If little agitation if you show, they will come for you. In your face, if 8–10 bees bite, you will die of suffocation. In fear, if you open your mouth, if they bite inside, one will do. Just one bee, if it bites you inside your mouth, you will suffocate to death. And above all, you'll fall down from the tree, okay? So, we can give you a cobra test or we can send people from our yoga center who will train you how to handle. Suppose a snake came inside, how to take him and leave him in his habitat. He's come here not because he want to listen to the lecture or the conversation or the air conditioning, he's not come for anything that you have come for. By mistake, he's entered. You just have to let him back there. For this, little bit beyond fear you must be to take it, but without training, if you take it, you could endanger your own life. So if you want, we can train 15–20 people on the campus who can handle this safely.
So, fine. So the next question is, so we'll be doing the social media question. There's one social media question, then we open it up for audience questions. The social media question, Sadhguru, is that how do we get the population interested in politics and in governance? In the sense that…
If you can hold it a little closer.
How do we get the population interested in politics and governance in view of the fact that, in most elections there are less than 50% turnouts?
That is a tough question just because the sheer fact that even in the United States we have a low turnout as well. And it's just, politics is just terrible. It's boring, it's terrible, but it's something that a lot of people need to know. Same thing with the law as well, because you don't know whether you're doing something illegal or legal. And also the contracts that you sign, because whenever you buy stuff or whenever you apply for stuff or when you sign up online, there's that long page that says, yep, I read it all, I'm good, next, It's like you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and then you hit the down button all the way down. Yep, read it all, next. Took me 1 second to read it all, I'm good. And that's basically, like, I think those agreements they have online when you sign up for websites or whatever, and the paperwork that when you buy something that's pretty major, like maybe a house or a car or whatever it is, or you sign up for credit cards or a bank, all that's like politics stuff, just because there's a whole bunch of legal stuff that you're like, plus they word it in such a way that's so difficult to understand that you're like, what does that mean? Therefore, henceforth, what the It's like I can't wrap my head around this, and it's our fault though. If something bad happens and we agree to that, it is our fault. They need to make that thing in layman's terms. Jeez Louise. And it's basically the same thing with politics, just because in politics, at least over here, you can lie in a sense and not be held responsible for that. I mean, I forget the technical word for it, but you can lie about your opponent to a degree. And I forget where that is now, and I can't remember if that's still legal or not. But it's just sheer fact that it's pretty interesting to watch the political debates, but just a lot of people are not into politics, and I guess it's kind of, I don't want to say funny, but it's kind of cool or interesting. I don't know what the right word is. Just the fact that again, it's very similar, and that might be just everywhere. I guess that everyone just doesn't like politics, and there's always a low turnout for voting.
See, this is not about politics. There is not enough concern about the nation and the people.
Oh, that is so true.
That concern has not come to a whole lot of people. Still we are in that mode. Our attachments to our family, our identities with our family and community is so strong. If me and my family are doing well, I don't care a damn what's happening to the country.
You know what? That would have been a lot simpler, and that's actually probably the majority of the issue over here as well. It's the sheer fact that same thing with me. I haven't voted, honestly. I'm registered to vote, but I just don't care for the most part. I'm living okay. I have also on top of that, even if you're living comfortably, and you don't care to vote, there's people out there who just don't have time. They're struggling, and they have other issues that takes priority over politics, even though that should be a major concern of theirs, including my own. But either way, to me, it's like, both are trash in a way, so if one wins or the other wins, it doesn't matter, because they're both terrible, or whatever the case may be.
Election day holiday means me and my family go on a picnic, not for the voting. Who'll go and stand in the queue? We will go on a picnic, or we'll go to the cinema, we'll do something else. Because the identification with the family is way bigger than the national identity, and because of that, they think, other people will vote. This is their idea. Other people are going to vote, so what is there if I don't go?
Would be a good argument to what that earlier argument with the guy in the middle, the guy with the heated debate. It's the sheer fact that there's this lack of national pride, nationalism. It's something that's also, again, happened here in America. It's the sheer fact that, the famous saying says soldiers have died to give you the right to vote. And and everyone's saying, oh, you should vote because it's your right to vote. You should exercise your right to vote. And it's like soldiers have died to give you this right to vote. And this is the thing that the guy in the middle is missing. He's concerned about people voting, but there's this, I guess, this lack of national pride, or I don't know what it is, national unity. I guess that would be whenever everyone can, again, go to this single idea that this is what we need, or this is what unites us, and we need this unification. That way everyone can get encouraged to vote. And this is what I think is going for. It's the sheer fact that what he just said, that there's no national concern because other people will vote. So there needs to be this passion for the nation, for people. It's like, yeah, I don't care if I'll stand out here for 6 hours. I'm going to vote because I care about my country. And that's the same thing that needs to be happening over here in the United States.
There's a beautiful story that Mark Twain used to love to say. There was a time when people believed there are people on the moon. Before Apollo, I'm saying in America, people believed there are people living on the moon. So they got a bright idea. They thought, on one particular given moment, all of us go stand on our rooftops and shout one word together in one voice. The word that we shout is "who" at them. Let's see what they say. Shall we try this here? Can all of you… I will say 1, 2, 3. Can you just say "who" as loudly as you can so the whole Hyderabad hears? 1, 2, 3. See, you have become wonderful like this. But that day came, everybody stood on the rooftop. That time I got a very, a very artistic idea. I thought, this is such a rare moment. All these people are going to say one word. And me, I have a small voice. What is there if I don't say it? And I just wanted to hear this extraordinary moment, everybody saying, "Who?" And that moment came and it passed in total silence. A day may come, on election day, nobody turns up except those who are herded by political parties with money and whatever goading they're doing. This is an irresponsible way to exist. See, the word for democracy in Tamil language is Jananayakam. What this means is, people are the leaders. Still our people have not understood that we are the leaders of this nation. We are still in a monarchy mindset. We think elected person is a king or an emperor. So, this is lack of education, lack of information, lack of identity with the nation, a strong sense of we build this nation is not there. Somebody is going to run this nation. This is still a British hangover.
That's what he was saying earlier, and that hit a debate in those 2 episodes that I did, which I spoke a lot of because I was very passionate about it. Jesus. I wish he would kind of link these two. Hopefully, maybe towards the end of this, he'll link this two and tell it to him. This is the reason why we need to stand for the flag, or whatever it may be that unites all people to have this one idea of unity.
We think somebody else is running the nation. We don't understand this is our nation. We have to make it what we want. Right now we have a nation where if Donald Trump opens up visas for all Indians, 60% of the population will swim across the oceans and get to America. This is not right. When everybody wants to go away, we have not created a nation that people wants to live in, isn't it? When everybody wants to come here, that means we've built a great nation. For this, participating in the fundamental democratic process is a must for everybody. But if you make it mandatory, it becomes ugly. If you make it mandatory, it becomes ugly. As you know, even national anthem is ugly right now. Something… You must understand, I went to the World Cup football and I went to the English match. I never knew this, I never thought about this. They played their national anthem. National anthem is God save our Queen, God save our Queen, give her long life and save her. Then I thought, oh my God, what a beautiful national anthem we have, the way it's composed, the way the words are written, everything. Then God save the Queen, God save the King in a democratic country? So, I'm saying even such simple things we are debating, we can't get a nation to get together and even vote. Even when nation is in a crisis, when 50% of the people not eating properly is a crisis for me. It is not a normal situation for me. It's a crisis. When such a crisis is there, whether I should vote or not, now there's making a movie, yesterday he was telling me, what is his name? Konda. Okay. They're making a movie in Nota, okay? We will say, nobody is acceptable to me. Well, it all sounds very intellectual, but believe me, you don't build a nation like this. You have to make choices about whatever lousy choice you have, in that you must make a little better lousy choice. If you want to improve this nation long term, you cannot abstain and say, oh, nobody is fit enough. Well, you stand up, if you see that this is a debate going on everywhere, in every tea shop, every college, this going on. Oh, all politicians are rubbish, they're thieves, they're this. If we have handed over this nation to the hands of the thieves and we are sitting back here and we don't even have the responsibility of voting, we are the more bigger thieves than them.
I won't say bigger thieves, I would say that you're allowing it to happen. You know there's thieves, like it's kind of like saying, oh, you see thieves coming to your house, you just say, hi. The money's back that way if you want it. Over there, gold, and that way, my Mercedes-Benz or whatever car's over there. Oh, the keys, oh, here you go. That's what basically is going on. And I remember what I said earlier. It's like, they're kind of like trash people in voting. But I will also say something else a little bit later to finish this off, I think, if I remember.
This responsibility has to come. We have not understood our basic democratic responsibility. When we do not understand that, we will become unfit for democracy, then something else will take us over. It is very, very important, not just voting, there are many other instruments through which you can participate in the democratic process. It is very important the student community participates, not on the street, not protest, not burning a bus, but participating in the instruments of democracy. All of you are law students, you must take a certain part of your life to educate the country and the youth. What are the ways in which they can participate in the democratic process? This is very, very important to make this nation.
Okay. I'm guessing that might be the end of that. It's a little bit more. Sorry.
Thank you for the answer, Sadhguru. Now we'll open this to audience questions.
Never mind. Okay, so it's the end of that. So this is what I said. Like, yeah, even if both your, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the United States, it seems like there's a two-party system, but it's not. There is I do believe a third and fourth party out there. I think. Again, I haven't really voted, but I wanted to go vote. If there's not really a good choice, let's just say, there is I do believe there's a third and fourth party, but it's just never usually on the ballots. And I will say this, in any country that allows you to vote, to go vote, and if any of the two major parties, or however many parties, I mean, I don't know how it is over there, but in the United States, there's two major parties, obviously, but there are also other parties, to go vote for that third party if you don't want to vote on the two major parties. And the reason why being is because I have a feeling if there's enough votes for the third party or fourth party, and people starts watching like, hey, you know, last year the third party only had 0.00001% of the votes of the population, but now it's 0.01. That is a massive increase. I mean, it's 0.01 votes, but that's versus 0.00001. Something's going on, and maybe that'll start developing this third party. So you now not only have just two choices, you have three. So that's what I hope people will do, even if they say, oh, like, oh yeah, I don't like any one of them, I'll vote third party, but third party's never going to win. But if they start seeing there's an influx of votes for the third party, that third party might have a chance of developing, and that's what I hope people do. I can only speak in America because there's two-party system for the most part, and just to vote for third party, just to go out there and vote for third party, and hopefully that will allow us to have more than just a flip of a coin of a party system. Left or right? I feel like right today, or left, right, maybe left, maybe right. You know, just vote third party. At least you're participating in I can't even say that word, democratic voting. And hopefully, if enough people do it, 15%, if what he says is correct, my gosh, at least, 85% of the population not voting? And understandably, not everyone has a chance to go vote, but even if, say, 20%, which is larger than the 15% that's voting of the population, goes out there and vote for a third party, you have a guaranteed third party president at that point, and the two-party system will be like, what the heck just happened? Well, at least that'll happen over here, I'm sure. I don't know what the voting outcome is over here. Well, anyways, that's the end of this because I have to cut it short, and my God, there's an hour left. I think I've been doing pretty good so far, and yeah, I did like 40 minutes practically. Oh, that's not too bad. Okay, anyways, that's my reaction to this. If you like my content, please consider subscribing. Thumbs up, thumbs down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.